Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. You just believe, 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 Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, you just believe, you just believe, you just believe, you just
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good luck, people. How are you all doing? Welcome back to another stream. We took a day off yesterday after the City-Chelsea game, had a few family things to do and so on and so forth. But we are back for a busy week ahead. We have watch-alongs this week for City games. We've watch-alongs for Arsenal. Loads to do, loads to talk about on this stream as well. Loads to catch up on. Plenty of news breaking regarding both City, Liverpool. We're going to talk about loads of things. Who's in the building? We've got Neighbours, Darsh, Herbal, Mean, Fraser, Jack Lee. Welcome, everybody. Make sure you've all hit that big thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new around here. We're around 150 subscribers away from 8K, which is fantastic. So all of your love, all of your support really does help. Hit that like button. Big up MJG. And subscribe if you're new. Link in the chat. Anybody wants to be a channel member. Right. Let's just start with the breaking news. The one that's... the one that's on the tip of everyone's tongue right now is Liverpool, because we are going to do predominantly City on this show, people, don't worry, but this is quite big news regarding the future of Premier League title races, because, you know, Liverpool have been our biggest contenders for the last few years. Arsenal, of course, have joined that since. We all assumed Liverpool were going to get Ruben Amorim as the new manager from Sporting Lisbon, but it looks like he has snubbed them, and he is, you know, very good chance he goes to West Ham. Before we went live, myself and Joe, or I said to Joe, I don't think he gave his full thoughts, because I said, we need to go live, the people are waiting, that this league is becoming more and more winnable for us. beyond this season as the days are going by. You know, if Liverpool don't get a manager that they really want, or a big dog manager, or a big, you know, statement manager. I think Amorim would have been a pretty big statement because he's definitely a big up and coming manager. You know, Arsenal have Arteta. He's still very much unproven in that sense. You know, United, are they going to get Tuchel? Are they going to get Southgate? Are they going to get... Who the fuck is anyone going to get? But right now, for me, it's becoming more and more clear that we can continue to dominate this league. So off the back of all this, selfishly, sign the contract, Pep Guardiola. Sign the contract, because this league is here for you to own. Here for you to own. Liverpool... So according to David Ornstein, I'm not reading the full report because I ain't got time for that. West Ham talks over ambitious move for Ruben Amorim if David Moyes goes. Lopetegui also assessed, but Amorim current top target. West Ham said to appeal, but unclear where they sit among 39-year-olds. Options. Liverpool looks unlikely. Liverpool looks unlikely. I think, Joe, Liverpool fans, they really hung their hat on the Amorim door, didn't they? They really wanted Amorim. They felt he was the right successor to Jurgen Klopp's style of football, personality, you know, Liverpool ethos, and so on and so forth. And he ain't going. He said, nah, I want to go West Ham.
I mean, yeah, the usage to being in the league is becoming more and more winnable. And I mean, look, so far, Klopp's leaving. You said to me before we went live, like, because we did have a bit of a conversation about obviously United manager and Liverpool manager and all this. The manager market right now is not a very good market. There's not a lot of very good managers out there on the table and available. There really isn't. You're looking at Tuchel's going to need a job, but he's kind of failed in a one-team league pretty much. He didn't win the league with Bayern. Still has a Champions League to go, so it could be a success still, you never know. So you can't write it off completely. They're in the semi-final, but Tuchel's looking for a job. Zidane's obviously your Champions League specialist, but he's going to cost a fair bit of money, and you need to be a Champions League club to get him. So when it comes to someone like United, is he going to go there? Probably not, but when it comes to Liverpool, they hung a hat on Xabi Alonso, thinking he'd return, thinking he'd come back. He'd win the league with Leverkusen and go, right, I've done all I can here. The club's really not going to, you know, go and progress and do, you know, things much, much greater. I'm going to go on to my next club. And Xabi Alonso said, no, I'm going to stay for another year. Because I still think Xabi Alonso is eyeing up that Real Madrid spot in 2025, next season, when Ancelotti's done. I think that's what he's eyeing up personally. But he's decided to stay for another season, so Liverpool can't get him. And then you look at Amorim, and I thought that was pretty much nailed on because I thought he'd take the next step in his managerial career. He'd go to a top club in Europe because he's already, you know, got a bit of experience, Champions League experience with Sporting. And of course, Liverpool need a manager. And then all of a sudden, he's looking more likely to go to West Ham than Liverpool, which I find crazy. But I mean, it's the same sort of wording that happened with Bellingham, wasn't it, with David Ornstein? Liverpool looking unlikely. That's what happened with Bellingham. That's what's happened with Amorim. And I don't really know who Liverpool go for. Me and you had this chat before stream started as well that we see Mourinho brandished about. Neither of us think Mourinho's going to end up at Liverpool because he's so different to what they do as a football club and how they are ran and, you know, just how they play football, their entire philosophy. So it's not a good fit. So I don't think that happens. But realistically, what else is there? Again, it's not like a saturated market. Like there's no real outliers out there in terms of managers that you look at and go, he's a really good manager. We need to, you know, he'd be my next choice. I think a lot of people have said De Zerbi. I mean, he got Brighton into Europe, but he's kind of, he's 10th at the moment with Brighton so far, so he hasn't really dealt with the European football well. You look at someone like, I think it's Michel. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but the guy at Girona, I think that's kind of who we're eyeing up if Pep does decide to leave at the end of his current contract. But again, like, it's not the heavy hitter name. It's not the greatest, you know, it's not the most well-known name. So there's not a lot of managers out there, but I am very surprised that West Ham have somehow managed to seemingly one-up Liverpool in the race for a manager.
As you said, he needs to take the next step in his managerial career. It's a big step to go from Sporting Lisbon to Liverpool. Thing is, Liverpool fans need to accept, it's a hard-hitting truth, but the job's not attractive. It's not an attractive job. It's not an appealing place to go at this current minute. I'll tell you why. Because anybody who fancies themselves as Klopp's successor has a massive, massive job on their hands. It's almost like you're trying to step into a godlike role at Liverpool. So anybody who feels they take over at Liverpool, they're gonna feel immediately like they are viewed as a downgrade. They are viewed as not capable of picking up where it was left off type thing and continuing the path that they were on before Jurgen Klopp left. So it's not the most attractive job for any up-and-coming manager. I think Liverpool needs some sort of a big personality who has his feet in the ground, who's been around the game for a long time and has experience, who's not going to feel that pressure as much as a new up-and-coming manager. Because if you're a new up-and-coming manager and you go to Liverpool with all the eyes on you, how are you going to replace Jurgen Klopp? How do you pick up where Klopp left off? Every little mistake you made is going to be microscoped. Every little issue you have is going to be microscoped, hyper-analyzed, and you are under massive pressure from the off. So do you want to risk stunting and damaging your linear rise as a manager in European football by taking the Liverpool job? I'm not so sure. I wouldn't do it if I was Amorim. I wouldn't do it if I was Alonso. Alonso seemed like the natural fit. He plays the football. He's ex-Liverpool. He gets the club and all that, but he knows he's in a perfectly fine place where he is right now at Bayer Leverkusen. They've just won the league. They're going to play Champions League. He's developing himself nicely as a manager. He's cutting his teeth in a good place. To go and take the step and be the Liverpool manager, big ask. Big ask. You're risking everything you've already built up to now. So, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Nayballs, I did have a drink. after the Chelsea game. Thank you. Your membership got me a drink after the game. So massively appreciate you, Nayballs. Big up everybody who's joining us right now. Make sure you've hit that big thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new, and keep getting your thoughts into the chat. Just hit that big like button. Right, enough about Liverpool. Just wanted to share our thoughts really quickly on that because it's pretty relevant. In summary, from a selfish point of view, which we will always be because we are selfish bastards over here, is that, whoever Liverpool get from here, whoever United get from here, I'm pretty confident that Pep can do a job on them. I'm pretty confident that Pep Guardiola can beat them. We are in the best position to continue dominating. We just need Pep to sign the contract, man. Sign the contract, Pep. And then Arsenal, we'll wait and see, man. We'll wait and see in Arsenal how they pan out because, like I said, they're still very much unknown. Anyway, enough of the waffle about them, man. I don't care enough about them to give them any more airtime. Let's talk about City's transfer dealings. Just a reminder, people, we are going to talk about the City-Chelsea game. We're going to talk about the United-Coventry game and the second ever Manchester Derby FA Cup final. So there's all that to look forward to as well. We have some news regarding Bruno Guimaraes and Kevin De Bruyne. So some Kevin De Bruyne news dropped not so long ago as well. We're going to chat a bit about that. But a good bit about transfers. I want to have a good conversation about transfers because I think it's only right with increasing evidence that the team is tired. The team is tired. We're heavily reliant on certain individuals who are outspoken about how tired they are. Bruno Guimaraes, we've known for a while, is a player Pep likes and City could go in for. Ben Jacobs says, City have actually approached Bruno's camp as they look for a player to complement Rodri and like the fact Bruno Guimaraes can play as a number 6 or a number 8. West Ham's Lucas Paquetá is still a potential target. I don't see the point in mentioning Lucas Paquetá there because they're different positions. If you're to bring in Lucas Paquetá, I don't think it is instead of Bruno Guimaraes or Bruno Guimaraes is instead of Lucas Paquetá. If you're going to get one, you have every reason to go for the other as well. If you ask me, with Bruno being quite clearly based off this report viewed as a complement to Rodri, so a deeper lying player who can also, as we speak a lot, Joe, about the umbrella of midfielders. He can play an array of roles in that midfield, whereas Paquetá will very much be, should we get him, an attacking option, even though I've read some reports that Paquetá isn't looking likely at the minute, that the FA are dragging their heels when it comes to his betting allegations. But anyway, Bruno Guimaraes, City have actually approached Bruno Guimaraes' camp. You spoke about what's his name, Amorim, looking to take the next step in his career. Is for Bruno G coming to Manchester City the next step in his own career? I like Bruno G. I don't rate him like that. I don't think he's like superstar levels. I don't think he's even world class. Absolutely, he's not world class. But could he get to those heights at Manchester City? I think so. I think so. He's definitely, I think, almost guaranteed to be a better option than Calvin Phillips would have been.
I think he's a massive upgrade on Kovacic. Massive upgrade on Kovacic. I think if we're looking to take, again, if we're looking to refresh, if he's looking to take the next step, if we're looking to take the next step and, you know, go for all of them trophies again next season, massive upgrade on Kovacic. I think defensively, he can do the same job, if not better, because he's just physically bigger than Kovacic is. But also going forward as well, he's more of a goal threat than Kovacic. Much more of a goal threat, whether it be from outside the box, inside the box. You know, I think he's a massive upgrade there, and I think he suits the squad. I think that in those bigger games where you look at, you know, these big six ties away from home, if we need someone to sit in next to Rodri and, you know, give the midfield a bit more steel, then he can do that. But, you know, say we're playing a newly promoted side at home, he can just play the holding role on himself, and you can trust him to do that role. He's got enough experience in the Premier League now where there is very little chance of that signing not working out, because you know what he can do. You've seen him do it for Newcastle. It'd be slightly different, of course, because at Newcastle he's one of the main men. You know, things usually run through him, but I mean, playing with players at Newcastle is much different from playing with players for City. I mean, he's going from a midfield three of, you know, himself, Joe Linton, and whoever else. I don't even know who plays in number 10. Well, someone like Longstaff or someone, to Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Rodri, potentially Bernardo Silva if he stays. You know, players like that. So it's a big step up. I think in terms, again, if we're looking at a selfish point of view, it is the next step. For as exciting as a Newcastle project might seem, they're at a little bit of a period of limbo almost with the whole FFP situation and having to potentially sell a few players, be able to go on and sign a few players. So in terms of where Newcastle are sat right now, it's still probably a few years away from them actually winning any trophies. Whereas, of course, if you come to City, then you're challenging straight away. You're challenging on all fronts. So again, selfish point of view, it's the next step in his career, but it's going to cost a lot of money, I think, is the one thing that a lot of people are looking at, where it's a lot of money for a guy who's not guaranteed to start, you know, most games, who's not, you know, one of the first names on the team sheet. You look at, 100 million is around the price tag. We paid that for Grealish. He's pretty much nailed on to start when he's fit. I don't think you can say the same about Bruno.
Well, Grealish wasn't. We signed Grealish for 100 mil when he was 26. Bruno's also 26. And Grealish wasn't the first name on the team sheet when he first arrived either. I would imagine there would be a small bit of adaptation period for Bruno Guimaraes. I mean, I'm looking at his contract here at Newcastle. He's the highest earner at Newcastle on £160,000 a week. He has 5 years left in this contract because he just recently signed a new one, and he has a £100 million release clause. Now, I have read from some rumours saying that his release clause is not eligible for other Premier League clubs. So other Premier League clubs can't trigger that release clause. But I would imagine that if we offered Newcastle £100 million for Bruno, I think they accept it, if I'm being totally honest. I think they do. Newcastle are very, as you kind of touched on, they're in the very unfortunate position that they're being totally fucked in the ass by FFP. I hate FFP. I think it's totally unfair. I think it's just to keep the rich rich and the poor poor, and it's totally anti-competition. But Newcastle are victims of it right now, and they kind of need to raise the funds, according to multiple reports. 100 million for Bruno Guimaraes would probably go a long way to helping them out. So listen, £160,000 gross per week salary, we could easily up that to 200, 250 if he wants to sign. I've also read that PSG are very interested in Bruno Guimaraes, but he's in the Premier League. He knows the Premier League. You know, Ederson's Brazilian, he's there. We might get Paquetá, he's Brazilian, so on and so forth. I think it makes sense. I think Pep, it makes sense why Pep really likes Bruno. He's versatile, he's a good player. Does he improve our team? Yes, he does. He absolutely does. Even with a minor adaptation period, I think he's a massive upgrade on the options we have in that area of the pitch. And something that he has to accept, and any player has to accept when they sign for Manchester City, is that when you sign the contract for Manchester City, you're not signing the contract for a club where you are a starter. No one, essentially, other than 2 or 3 names at our club, is a guaranteed starter. Everybody else is up for rotation. Everybody else is up for playing an array of positions. That's what makes us successful. You are signing for a successful team. You are signing for a successful club and a successful squad. You're not signing to become the face of that. So that's something you have to weigh up. Do you want to go to a club where you may be guaranteed to start literally every single game, but you have less chance of winning trophies? Or do you want to sign for Manchester City and become a part of our squad and be used when Pep sees views as the right time and have better chance of trophies? That's something you have to weigh up. Big up MCFC with the AED 36 super chat, says hi, Bruno would be incredible and he's very close to Paquetá, but there's talk of Arsenal being interstitial. Surely he'd pick us though, right? Do you think it's likely? I think he picks us over Arsenal. Absolutely. I think he absolutely picks us over Arsenal. If he goes to Arsenal, he's competing with Odegaard, Rice, Havertz is there. Jorginho, at least at City, you kind of know you're just really competing with Rodri properly. You're going to be ahead of Kovacic. You're competing with Rodri, but Pep is obviously very open to, and has shown he's very open to playing the pivot. I could see Bruno sitting beside Rodri plenty of times. I think there's possibly more football for Bruno at City, as wild as that sounds, Joe.
Potentially, because again, I don't think it's as binary as, he's just a 6, because he's definitely not viewed as that. So he'd play there when Rodri's not playing, but when Rodri is playing, you'd imagine he'd sit next to him. Like I said, in those bigger games where we don't want to go gung ho and play 2 number 10s, that sort of Bernardo Silva central midfield role where he just sits next to Rodri, like he'd be ahead of Kovacic, he'd be ahead of Nunes. He'd be ahead of a lot of players in that position, so he would get plenty of game time. Plus, where we always, I say always, not always, because football's not like that, but we usually go far in most competitions, even if we don't win them. So there'd be plenty of opportunity. We're normally playing about 60 games a season, so there'd be lots of opportunity for football. But MCFC is right, he is very close to Paquetá. If you go back about 4 years, Paquetá and Bruno Guimaraes was Leon's midfield pivot. So it's not a worst idea to sign them both because they've already played together and they already worked together. So if those are going to be 2 midfield signings, it's a very, very good bit of business, really.
Yeah, so, I mean, kind of just keeping on the topic of Bruno, but also interlinking Paquetá. There is some bad news or some bad rumours regarding Paquetá. The Premier League, or the FA, I should say, you need to be careful with who you mention these kind of topics, don't you? The FA apparently are totally dragging their heels with the Lucas Paquetá situation. There's not a huge amount of movement. Obviously, look, I've been consistent with all these things all along. When it comes to City's 115, when it comes to any, allegations, charges, anything, I've always been consistent. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know what's going on. I just kind of sit in my hands and wait for some news to drop. But the word is that the Premier League, why do I keep saying the Premier League? The FA are dragging their heels and slowing up the process. Now, look, I have come up with my own conspiracies regarding this. I think if he wasn't linked with Manchester City, if he wasn't coming to Manchester City, if he was a free man, the Paquetá betting situation would be sped up and he probably would get an outcome. He'd be suspended or he would be free man, whatever. But because it's Manchester City involved, I feel like, with our charges, etc., they're dragging their heels, trying to make life difficult for everybody involved in that process. That's just my conspiracy. That's just me being a tinfoil hat merchant, but absolutely no facts to back it up. Absolutely no facts to back it up before anybody sends for me and starts accusing me of, all sorts
Just
of this.
sign him anyway. Sign him anyway and up it to 116. Why not?
I mean, are we allowed to do that? Can you sign him?
I don't know whether there's any legalities in the situation of signing a player under investigation. I guess not, because Newcastle signed Tonali when he was under investigation by the Italian FA for breaching gambling rules.
You just know that if we sign Lucas Paquetá, say you sign Lucas Paquetá on the 2nd of July, yeah, he's standing in the Etihad, Zamina, doing all the samba dances and all that shit.
3rd of July.
3rd of July. Lucas Paquetá, 2-year suspension.
It's now that they're waiting for us to pull the trigger, thinking that we're going to take a chance on him, and then they're gonna. That's the fear that we had in the summer just gone. Is that we really wanted him. But there was that fear of, if we sign him, he's 100% going to get, put down for these betting charges and be suspended for the season, pretty much. So that's why we didn't do it, because it's like, again, like you said, conspiracy theories. Put your Matt Letizia tinfoil hat on, right? If it was any other club, if this was Man United, it'd be cleared. If this was Liverpool, it'd be cleared. It's only because it's us. Telling you.
I believe it. I believe that if it was any other club, you'd probably be sound. Listen, there's over 70 people in the building. Make sure you've all hit that thumbs up button. Let's get to 50 likes as soon as possible. Big up MCFC for your super chat, brother. Massively appreciate you. Subscribe if you're new around here, people. We're 150 away from 8K. I'd love to hit 8K as soon as possible. So hit that big thumbs up button. But yeah, Bruno. I mean, Wayne Hennessy in the chat. Big up Wayne. He says, "I'm hearing we've made contact with Bruno." There'll be loads of clubs making contact with Bruno, Wayne. There'll be PSG, ourselves. I'm sure Arsenal might do. I'm sure Liverpool might do. Liverpool could definitely do with a Bruno. There'll be loads of clubs, but where is best suited to Bruno? Obviously, from a totally biased standpoint, I believe it's Manchester City right now. And it's kind of interlinked with what we were saying about the managerial situation a couple of minutes ago, that City is the most obvious club for continuing sustained success over the next few years. You know, we're settled, or at least we believe we're settled with Pep Guardiola. We're hoping he signs a new contract. We have a settled squad. We just need a few refreshments here and there, and it should be business as usual. City should continue to, at the very least, compete. It's a ready-made competing squad, so I think City, for me, is the most attractive option, but I'm sure Arsenal, Liverpool, and PSG will have their own beliefs as to why they are the most attractive option. I mean, personally, Liverpool is probably the least attractive option right now because they don't know who their goddamn manager is going to be. Every manager they go for seems to be turning them down and saying they want to go somewhere else or stay where they are. But, you know, Arsenal, maybe Arteta can convince them. Martinelli's there, Jesus is there, Gabriel's there, there's a decent Brazilian contingency in that Arsenal squad. So you just don't know. But for me, City need business this summer. City absolutely need business. I'm harping on here about how we are in the best position for, sustained success, to continue success, and I believe we are, but that is pending that we do sufficient business this summer. I'm not looking for any more second and third choice signings. I'm not looking for any more, potential players. I'm looking for players for the right here and right now. I'm not looking for adaptation periods. I'm not looking for, Jeremy Doku's or Mateus Nunez's or players of that ilk who they could turn out to be really good players over the next year or two, and we're all going, great, that was fantastic business. But there's always that could. If you want to continue sustained success, unfortunately, you need to sign players who are going to impact. Are going to come in with a certain level of quality and impact right now. And this summer, I've said this now, has to be a summer where City do that. No more projects, no more potentials. It has to be give Pep players for now, for this coming August, for this upcoming season, to give us the best chance of continuing. Because if we take more risks on players of, the 21-year-olds and the players who are taking their next step or a massive step in quality in their career, if those bets don't come in and those players don't hit the ground running, the overall level of your squad is going to diminish. It has already diminished from last summer to now, letting Gundo Mahrez go and even Cole Palmer go, to bringing in Doku and Nunez and Kovacic and these guys. Nunez and Doku could be great. They could be great over the next year, 2, 3 years, whatever. But right now, what we know is that they're not ready to be playing 40, 50 games a season, 20 G&A each, and fill those boots and fill the hole left behind by players that we know can do that. We know what we need. You know what I'm saying? So go after what we need.
I think it's clear we need a big summer because we can't play like we did this season and expect that we're going to have a good season next season. Because the amount of times that we've spoken about how it's absolutely amazing that 6 games left to go, we're in control of our Premier League destiny, given the performances, the results against big teams, all of this stuff that's been going on this season. The fact that we are still in for a League Cup double and we're in charge of our own league destiny is baffling to me. I don't know how this has been allowed to happen, how we've been let off the hook by the other clubs in the title race. I don't know. I really don't know, because by all right, if you would have told any of us at the start of the season, the only top 6 club you beat all season is Man United home and away. Of course, you'd be happy that you beat United home and away. You didn't lose to them. But every other game was not a win. It was a draw, a loss in there against Arsenal. You'd probably assume at that point that we weren't winning the Premier League if you were to be told that information. So there needs to be a change. There needs to be a refresh. There's tired players. There's players that have just come to the end of their cycle. It just sometimes that happens. I mean, again, if you go back over the years, early in the Pep reign, nobody ever would just, if you would have told someone in 2018, let's say, that, a few years after that season, Raheem Sterling to be off to Chelsea, he won't be any good anymore. You'd laugh, wouldn't you? You'd laugh because he was putting up Messi numbers. But that's just what happens. Players come to the end of their cycle. They just need to be moved on. You need to refresh. You need to keep the hunger levels up. And sometimes it's for the best. Like, good players come, good players go. That's just what happens in football. We need a big summer because we can't afford to have another season like this, because you can't bank on being let off the hook like that. Like, take Chelsea, the game we just played, for example. We've had so many games we've played like that this season, haven't we? We can't afford to do that next season because we will just get punished.
Well, this is it, man. We put ourselves in this position by not doing the correct business last summer. I stand by it. I don't think we did the correct business last summer. And, our Big Six record this season is pretty crap. We have been let off the hook. We've been given the golden opportunity. I mean, and Wayne in the chat says, do you boys reckon you'll drop points? Yeah, I do. I do reckon we'll drop points. Based off what I've seen in the last week, I do reckon we'll drop points. I think the team is totally running on fumes. I think the team is absolutely jaded with fatigue right now. Just knackered, tired. So whatever we win, if we're to win anything this season, it'll be totally just grinding it out. I don't think it'll be easy on the eye. And there is some tough games in there. There is some tough games where we can drop points. So yeah, I do. I think we can win all 6, but we need to find energy from somewhere. I need to dig deep and find energy from somewhere, because the Chelsea game, man, that we were there for the taking in that Chelsea game, if you ask me. If we were up against a team that could finish their dinner, Chelsea beat us, and they might beat us comfortably. That was not a good performance from Manchester City. We grinded it out. We won ugly, fair enough. We beat what was in front of us, but what was in front of us was a load of shit. That Chelsea team were not good. We were absolute Joe. We were there for the taking. We were a sitting duck to be taken by Chelsea there. I am buzzing we're in the final. I am buzzing we got through the game and we won ugly. We grinded it out, so on and so forth. But it was not a good performance. I looked at Rodri. I looked at De Bruyne. I looked at Bernardo. I looked at all these guys. They're tired players. They need rest. They need rotation. And that's not something we have right now, so we can't afford to do so. Rodri, who's bollocks, is going to have to play every game. We have 7 games left of this campaign, a cup final and 6 Premier League games. He has to essentially almost play every minute of all those games unless we are winning very comfortably in any of them. Which, with the way we're playing overall right now, with the lack of service to Erling Haaland, I don't see us winning very comfortably in very many games. We're up against teams fighting for Europe. We're up against teams fighting relegation. We're up against teams fighting for all sorts of things. There's not many opportunities we're going to get to rest players. I mean, that was tired against Chelsea. You know what I'm saying? Chelsea be kicking themselves. I looked at Matisse's review. He was kicking himself. He was like, that was a bad City performance, and he's right. They should have. A better team beats us.
I mean, God forbid we play like that again this season. We will just get punished. Like, we've got Brighton next. Brighton play open. They play man-to-man. We know this. So, naturally, you're thinking, right, there's going to be a bit of space. Brighton are at home, and they just don't park the bus. They go for teams. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's just what they do. That's what De Zerbi does. So, there should be space. But in saying that, I'm absolutely terrified of us defensively at the moment, because every single chance that we are conceding is literally the simplest of things. I could literally name you right now. Ball over the top. You get a ball over the top in behind, you're in on goal. And it's as simple as that. Like, are we getting cut? We're not getting cut open, are we? We're not getting, pass. We're not getting passed around the park. It's one ball over the top of our defence and they're in on goal. And it worries me slightly with the way that we're defending and the way that we're just creating as well, because we're not even able to dig ourselves out of a hole. If Jackson scores one of his, I don't know how many chances, we're not digging ourselves out of that hole. We didn't create anything. The Bernardo Silva chance was luck. It was pure luck. It wasn't like amazing play. It's not like we cut Chelsea open. Chelsea didn't even park the bus. We couldn't cut them open. Like, it's a tired performance. And I guess the worst part about it is all these players that you list off that are tired, they're all going to be jetting off to Germany in the summer for the Euros, so they don't even get a break. Like next season is massively in jeopardy with the current state of the squad. That's why we need a big summer, because if these players are tired, then we're gonna need reinforcements that can, balance it out, because they're not going to get a break this summer because of the international tournament going on. So if these players are going to need more breaks during the season, then we need to spend big. We need to buy players that are of the quality, like you said, experience. Maybe not. It doesn't have to be old players when I talk about experience, but I'm now about experience, proven players, good players, players that come in now and fit, not Sergio Gomez 11 million. None of that. We can't afford to have any more of these project players with the way that next season's shaping up. We have an already tired and small squad that's going to be going to an international tournament, most of them, and come back tired still. So we can't afford to not go and sign players that can actually play football. We can't afford to go and have, like I said, Mateus Nunes. I think he's a good player still, but Pep doesn't trust him. We can't afford to go and have someone that Pep doesn't trust to play. We can't go and have someone like Kovacic who Pep doesn't trust to play in the six. Doku who doesn't trust to play from the start. Gomez is just a non-factor. Can't have these signings anymore.
If Pep doesn't trust Nunes, get rid of him. Get rid of him. We don't need players sitting on the bench and playing bit part roles. Just get rid of him. I like the player. I like the guy. I think he has potential. But if Pep doesn't fully trust the guy to play minutes when we should be resting other players, or taking minutes away from the likes of Rodri and De Bruyne who don't need to play, just get rid. Just get rid. No sentimentality needed. No bad blood. No ruthlessness. No nothing. Just simple as it's not for us. It didn't work out. No harm in saying so. No harm in saying so. Make sure to hit the like button, people. We're 2 likes off 50. Smash that big thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new around here. Big up Punit, member for 2 months, says no Amorim for Liverpool. I think he's making the right decision, Punit. I think Amorim's making the right decision. I would not want that risk of filling Klopp's boots at Liverpool. It's too big a step. Go to the next step. Gradually build your way up. He's got plenty of time. He's like 38, 39. You don't need to rush to these kind of jobs. Likewise with Xabi Alonso. Right, speaking of players that are tired and players that are jetting off to Germany, there is some news also from Ben Jacobs regarding Kevin De Bruyne. He says Man City still want Kevin De Bruyne to extend his contract, and there is optimism he will. However, if he agreed to a Saudi move, a creative and versatile midfielder will become a priority. There is nothing to indicate De Bruyne is entertaining it at this time. De Bruyne is a top Saudi target, and unless he signs a new City deal before the season ends, it is almost certain Saudi deal makers will make Man City an offer. Pro League Sporting Director Michael Emenalo is already aware De Bruyne will cost 100 million. This is the question that we need to ask ourselves about Kevin De Bruyne. And it's one that we don't want to ask ourselves, and it's one that it's inevitable. It's inevitable. If a big money offer comes in for Kevin De Bruyne in his current state comes in of 100 to 120 million, do we accept it? Now, look, with Kevin De Bruyne, for me, he's the greatest City player of all time. Absolutely love the guy. But he's gassed. He's gassed. Right now, he's knackered. You know what I mean? And he hasn't even been involved in the full season. He's absolutely knackered right now. Look at the guy running around the pitch. He's not playing at the pace of the game that he should be at. He's giving the ball away sloppy. He's getting dispossessed sloppily. He's not in the game the way a fit and healthy Kevin De Bruyne is. He's dealing with an ongoing / recurring hamstring issue that you can't really shake off. And I said this to you guys live plenty of times. When he came back from injury, I said, do not expect the Kevin De Bruyne that we saw pre-hamstring injury. Because once you smash your hamstring that badly and you fuck it up that badly, it never fully heals. It never, ever fully heals. Trust me, I know from experience, it never, ever fully heals. So that's something he's going to have to finish out the rest of his career with, managing an on-the-ropes hamstring all the time. So City, who of course want him to stay. Of course, I'd love him to stay. I would love a world whereby Kevin De Bruyne stays and his hamstring is grand and he's fit and healthy and we get another 2-3 years out of him. But if City get offered 120 million pounds from him, and that's 120 million pounds that we could use for a fresh up and coming big name, a Musiala, a Wirtz, someone like this, it's something they will consider. It's something they will consider. I mean, Rebel in the chat, 120 million for a 32-year-old, bite it off. There'll be plenty of people on the board saying that. I know as fans we're sentimental, as fans we love him, and I'm one of you in that sense. But you have to remember, it's a business. It's a business trying to continue success, trying to continue being a profiting business, a highly profiting business. And is letting go of someone who, he's our highest earner. He's on, I have his wages here, 400 grand a week for two more years. What do you think, Joe?
It's not as easy as yes and no.
No,
But I lean more to if you're to put a gun to my head, let's say, and say 120 million.
Give me a second. I'm back in a second.
If you put a gun to my head, tell me 120 million, yes or no. I have to give a yes or no answer. I'm going ahead to say yeah. Like, I get the sentimental side of football because he's the greatest player in the club's history. There's no doubt about that now. With what happened last season and what potentially may happen, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But he's our highest earner, and we can't trust him to play more than once a week, or to stay fit for an entire season, or that he's going to actually play well. He's 32. If you're getting offered 100 million plus for a 32-year-old injury-prone player, it's kind of a no-brainer. The one thing I would say is it also depends for me on replacements. If you think Musiala is a gettable target, if you think you have a realistic chance of signing Musiala, I think if Saudi come in with 100 million plus for De Bruyne, you pull the trigger, you sell De Bruyne, you get Musiala. I think that is like, if that is a capable plan, if you can do that, I would. However, if there's not an option to replace him, if the only option in attacking midfield that you can realistically get that's actually good, that you know is good, that's going to come in and play, is Paquetá, I'd probably not sell him. I think that's why there's variables for me. In an ideal world where we can just go and pick a player at random to sign for the money that we get for him, yeah, of course. Like I said, he's 32. We can't rely on him to stay fit for a season. We can't rely on him at the moment to play well when he plays. And we can't rely on him to play more than like once a week. And we can't even rely on him to do 90 minutes when he plays. And he's 32. If you're offering 100 million for that, yeah, of course, I'd sell. But again, for me, it comes down to the replacement. Are you going to get quality to replace him? Can you get Musiala? No. Keep De Bruyne. Can you get Musiala? Yes. I'd get rid of him. I really would.
I mean, 4-4-4-4 says he doesn't need to play every game. Modric doesn't play every game for Madrid. Modric isn't mad injury prone. Modric is an insanely fit and healthy guy with a pretty decent injury record. It's unfortunate for De Bruyne. It's the nature of the injury that he has. It was his ankles for a long time. Now it's his hamstring. So it's the nature of those injuries that just keep reoccurring, keep bothering him, keep slowing him down, affecting his fitness. These are the things that City will weigh up. I don't want De Bruyne to go. Like I said, I want the world where De Bruyne stays, he's fit, he's healthy, and he plays. But if you're being offered 120 million and we can identify a suitable replacement, it's probably one that the club would pull the trigger on. They weren't sentimental with Company, Aguero, Silva, and it was like, look, when the right time comes, the right time comes. You know, we all felt we could have got a bit more out of David Silva, maybe could have got a bit more out of Vincent Company, but they decided the right time is the right time. The right time is the right time. 100 million for Kevin De Bruyne, you must accept. I think the club would. I think the club might.
And I have no issue with them doing it either. I don't get the whole play him like Modric. Kevin De Bruyne is our highest earner. Are you saying that you want your highest earner, your 400 grand a week superstar, to be on the bench every single game? Because that's practically what Modric does. He doesn't start many games. You know, those big games, he'd never started in the 2 games against us. He came on for half an hour off the bench. You know, is that the role that Kevin De Bruyne just has going forward? I get the whole experience thing. And like I said, if there's no replacement, I have no issue with the club saying, no, we're going to keep him, because there's not a guaranteed, you know, superstar replacement. Because that's what we need. It's not about replacing the player with, you know, just another good player. We're replacing Kevin De Bruyne. It has to be a top name. Otherwise, for me, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it, because you're losing a lot of experience, leadership. You know, on his day, he's still very good when he can pull it out the bag. So I kind of lean to maybe giving him one more season. But again, if there's a replacement on the table, you pull the trigger. I'm sorry you pull the trigger. I think you're stupid not to.
I mean, say less says, I trust our ability to find a suitable replacement more than I trust Kev's hamstring. Put a poll in the chat, Joe, because look, it's one that I'm totally split on. I'm Kevin De Bruyne's biggest fan, man. I love Kevin De Bruyne. I believe he's our greatest ever, and it'll break my heart the day he plays his last game for the club. It will. But the club are thinking about these things, and they've probably been thinking about this for years. You know, how do you plan for Kevin De Bruyne's exit? Who do you get in to fill Kevin De Bruyne's boots? Because you're gonna have to find one, and you're gonna have to find a pretty damn good one. So put a thing in the chat. Kevin De Bruyne, 100 mil, keep sell. Simple as. And I want you guys in the chat to get active with that. Make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you've hit the subscribe button as well. And there's a link in the chat as well if anybody wants to be a channel member. The club are really good at finding replacements. The club are really good at keeping on going. I remember when I was younger and we let go of David Silva, I was like 16, 17, whatever it was. Aguero as well, companies. I thought the world was going to end. I was like, this is the end of our cycle. How do we replace these guys? Fernandinho, even, I was like, damn, that's a huge loss. But the club are unbelievable at finding these replacements, and you have to trust them in that process. I want Kev to stay, but I think we need to find the replacement now. Get a top quality replacement in this summer that Kev can split with. And so on and so forth. Because if any of you think Kev's playing 90 minutes 2 and 3 times a week next week, no.
He can barely
not.
do 90 once a week. Look at all the games he's playing recently. He gets to 60, 70 and he's just gassed. Like, even if he's had like a week off, he's still just gassed. Like, he can't play that long. And who is it who said, Say Less said he trusts the ability to find a suitable replacement more than he trusts Kevin De Bruyne's hamstring. I'm the same way. I can't trust him to be fit, consistently fit. I can't trust him to play more than an hour at a high level, a high intensity level in a game. I can't have him playing, 2-3 times a week. Well, that is most of our season, playing 2 or 3 times a week. So you basically got to pick and choose which games he plays. Again, I can't at this moment in time either guarantee he's actually going to play any good. Look at that Chelsea game. I know he got given man of the match. That's an absolute shambles, right? But from a technical standpoint, I actually think, because I've had time to reflect on it, but just as an individual performance, just analysing his game against Chelsea, in terms of effort, I have no issue. He was running about, he was pressing, he was putting tackles in, he was trying to win the ball back. His actual effort levels were there. But from a technical standpoint, the actual other things about the game, it was absolutely abysmal. The final ball was just completely off. Like, there was nothing to what, like, he didn't look like he was going to create anything. He didn't look like he was going to have a moment, didn't look like he was going to score. He just looked like he was there to run about. Like that's kind of what his performance was against Chelsea. So I can't guarantee he's going to have a good game. I don't think. What way do I want to word this? I know what way I want to word this. I think the best he's looked this season, for me, the best he's looked this season is actually those 30-minute cameos off the bench. That's where he's looked best for me. I think we've had the best moments from him this season when he's come off the bench. I think the only game that he started that was at a top level and more than I could imagine, but Luton away in the cup, he got all those assists. That was a really good game. But from the start, how many vintage De Bruyne games has he had? Like, has he even got close? Like, it's very much hit or miss at the moment. Yeah, that's why I'm leaning towards sell, because he's not reliable at the moment. I get the sentimentality. I'd rather he, in an ideal world, I'd rather he stay even if we do find a replacement, because his experience is invaluable. But I'm sorry, if you're getting 100 million plus for a 32-year-old injury-prone player, again, you pull the trigger. Surely you pull the trigger.
I'm so split, man. I'm so split. Because I do think there's still more in Kevin De Bruyne, but it has to be managed really, really heavily. I mean, Dano says his replacement is in the squad, and I know you mean Phil Foden, and I get that. Phil Foden, for me, is going to be the future of our midfield. But you need players around Phil Foden as well. You need players that can play with Phil Foden, help Phil Foden. I mean, I don't know. It's a really tough one. I say keep. I say keep for now. But it's tough. I mean, the last week for the run has been tough. He doesn't look fit. He doesn't look healthy. I mean, maybe with a proper preseason, maybe with proper time off, a good month or two off, would he be able to sort himself out?
Let me flip a question then. If the signing of Musiala depends on the sale of Kevin De Bruyne, do you keep or sell? If selling him to Saudi for 100 million guarantees we spend that on Musiala, and if we don't sell him, it means we can't spend it on Musiala, what do you do then? Does that change your opinion at all?
Get out, man.
I know it's a tough question, isn't it? That's where I'm coming from. I think if you can get Musiala, I'd do it. If the Musiala deal hinges on that, I would. If not, then no. I think it's as simple as that for me.
I don't know.
Come on, you gotta give an answer now, man. I wanna know because I've told you where I stand. Again, if a Musiala deal hinges on De Bruyne not being there because it frees up money in a squad slot, it proves that he would be getting game time. Do you pull the trigger if the offer comes in and it guarantees the Musiala in?
Probably.
It's such a tough question, but again, you can't be there's no sentimentality. I think if I'd like him to stay, but I'm sorry, if next season, because I think he will stay. This is all hypotheticals. I don't think he will be sold. I don't think, even if we accept the offer, I still don't think he would go to Saudi because I don't think he wants to do that. So I think he'll stay regardless. So it's a pointless conversation, really. It's more hypotheticals, but next season, if he's underwhelming after, potentially having time off and a pre-season to be able to build up, if he's underwhelming next season, you just accept that you just can't hack it anymore, or do you just try again? Try again?
See, I'm caught between my head and my heart here. My heart says Kevin De Bruyne still has it in him. He can go again, a proper preseason, proper rest, a good holiday after the Euros. Hope Belgium gets slapped up nice and early, and he gets to go to Marbella or wherever on his holidays. That Kev can still do it. Kev is still the man, less minutes, but can still really, really impact the games and really, really impact the season. And then my head says, for the future of the team, is it best to get in the new young model, the new young, the younger version, the younger model? If that's Musiala or not is up to you to decide, people. But I'm caught between my head and my heart. I trust Kevin De Bruyne. I just trust him for some reason. I've got this thing. I still think he can do it, but it has to be managed really, really carefully. He can still decide games. He can still be crucial in big moments. He still has that moment of magic in him. So I'm really reluctant to sell him. But the club, on the other hand, they might feel differently. They might feel financially it makes sense to cash in and spend that money on what I call the younger and younger and up and coming version, if that exists. But we're gonna have to sell loads of players. This summer. I think Bernardo's gone. I think Bernardo Silva's gone. Calvin Phillips maybe on loan, gone. Either way, Sergio Gomez gone. Cancelo gone.
Cancelo can get to fuck. Cancelo can get to fuck. I hate Barcelona fans are losing their head over him, by the way. So
he's rubbish, is why. Technically fantastic, but when it comes to defending, he's rubbish, Cancelo. But look, just the thing with Kevin De Bruyne, just finally to wrap up Kevin De Bruyne. If Kevin De Bruyne wants to stay at Manchester City and he feels he can impact, keep him. That's where I stand. If he wants to stay, he'll know himself. He'll know his body better than any of us. I can only tell you what I think, but he'll know how he feels. If he wants to stay and he believes he can still perform to the level that he knows he needs to perform at, because when you're keeping Kevin De Bruyne, you're keeping Kevin De Bruyne because he can play like Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah? No one else can play like Kevin De Bruyne when he's on top form. If he wants to stay and he feels he can compete further, I say keep him. Keep him above anybody. I trust Kevin De Bruyne above anybody else. But if he's any doubts, if he's any underlying issues that we're not fully aware of and so on and so forth, maybe there's a different conversation to be had there. But I trust Kevin De Bruyne. If he wants it, keep him.
Last dance scenario, and keep him for a year and see how he does. And then if he just can't hack it anymore, then that's where the sentimentality comes into part. If next season he just is so unreliable, gotta cut your losses. Can't affirm that decision, but I think he wants to stay, personally. Whether it means he's going to sign a new contract, I don't know, but he'll definitely stay for next season. He'll be there. He'll be there.
I think it's super fucking clear he does not want Saudi. With all due respect to the Saudi Pro League, I think it's quite clear he does not want to go to Saudi Arabia. Is anybody else going to pay 100 plus for Kevin De Bruyne?
Nope.
Nope. Probably not.
I don't think anybody else. I don't think there's a top club in Europe who looks at Kevin De Bruyne and goes, 100 million, he's worth it. Because again, we've already listed the negative side of what he is as a player currently. So I don't think a top club would have other options above that first. Many other options, younger players, because I mean, signing Kevin De Bruyne, you're only getting a few years. Or at least a few potentially good years.
Mm. I don't know. It's a tough one, man. It's an emotional conversation. I don't like it. I don't like it because Kev, he's my favorite player of all time for Manchester City, the best player of all time, Manchester City. I don't know. I hate it.
It's one of these. I've spoken about these so many times. If you went back last season, if you would have said that come the end of this season, you would have said, 12 to 18 months ago, you would have said Kevin De Bruyne. There's a genuine argument to sell him. They'd be put in a psych ward. Be called crazy.
I'd laugh.
Exactly, you'd laugh. You'd think, no way, not a chance.
Something else you have to throw into the conversation is if we win the four-peat, do you think he might view it as the right time to go?
Well, he's got nothing else left to do. It's not like, I mean, there's always the back-to-back Champions League, but of course we can't do that this year, so he's got to wait another 2 years for that. Is that realistically going to be a target? Like, winning 4 in a row, 2 trebles, a domestic clean sweep, the treble. Well, he's won a European Cup. What else has he got left to do with us apart from win it all again? Like, there is some, obviously, there's some part of me that some players do view it like that. Some players do view it as, I've done everything, I'm going to move on. I don't think he's one of them. Because if that was the case, then surely he'd view it as, this season. Because at the end of last season, we've done everything. 3 in a row, Champions League, 2 trebles, and we've done everything. So I don't think he thinks like that. Although, I don't know. Maybe I don't know him well enough.
LA Galaxy. I could see him going to America. I definitely could see him going to
America. Well,
America.
he could go to New York, couldn't he? Could get him off to New York.
I don't know. Listen, we'll have to sit tight in that one anyway. My honest opinion is I don't think he's going to go to Saudi. I don't see him signing a contract for a Saudi club. I think he's been pretty open, or at least we think he's been pretty open from the reports that he's not interested in going to Saudi and moving his family to Saudi Arabia. So we'll just have to sit tight and wait and see. Does he sign a new contract? Does Pep sign a new contract? I'm sure Pep and De Bruyne will be speaking about both their contracts to each other. Will either of them sign new contracts? We'll have to just wait and see. Anyways, back to this season. Guys, make sure you've hit that big thumbs up button. 80 in the building, 60 likes. Make sure you hit that big thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new around here. And there's a link in the chat if anybody wants to help support me and Joe. Be like Herbal, Puneet, and so on and so forth. Who else? Herbal, Puneet are the 2 members in the chat. Yeah, become a channel member. Link in the chat right now. Inter Miami. Imagine De Bruyne and Messi.
De Bruyne,
right.
Messi, Busquets, Suarez. They're building an MLS All-Stars.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun though. It'd be kind of fun to see. Right, let's get back to this season's ongoings. FA Cup final. We are there. The second ever Manchester Derby FA Cup final. Didn't happen for 100 years. Now we get 2 in a row. Did you? I know I asked you this, but you watched a bit of their game against Coventry yesterday. I watched the extra time and I watched the penalties, and I was just like, "Wow, man! Wow, this lot are embarrassing. This lot are They should not be beating us in this FA Cup final. I'm sorry. They are a shit show of a team. They are really, really bad. Shameless bunch as well. Coventry, that was onside, man. Lance, I'm convinced that was onside. They were robbed, Coventry.
Did you see the line? Did you see the actual line that they drew?
Bro, they cut off Wan-Bissaka's toenails and they said, yeah, man's offside. How, man? How can you do that? The lines were dodgy. VAR have robbed Coventry of a special day at Wembley. Man, we play them now in a final again. I hate playing them, but they're rubbish. They should not be beating us in an FA Cup final. They were shameless. See, Hoyland went over to celebrate, and none of the players joined them as well because they knew what they had done was embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing.
You see what Anthony did? Turning around to Coventry players and cupping his ears. That sums up Ten Hag's reign perfectly. They are the most embarrassingly badly run football club in the world currently. They have no style of play. They don't know whether their owners are any good because fucking Sir Jim's doing a London Marathon for the first half. Like he's only turning up at half time. He doesn't care too much. Nobody knows what's going on with Ten Hag. The players on the pitch are just, some of them are absolute disgraces. Poor performances. They've got senior players who look like they'd rather be anywhere else but Manchester United. So yeah, pretty embarrassing, but a good day for us. I mean, I at the start of the day, I really didn't want United to win. I was hoping for Coventry win because I'm like, I can't bear another. Because some of the members in the Discord were like, would you want United again? I was like, I can't take another Man United final. I can't take it. I might die. Like, it was so stressful last season. I almost couldn't do it. Like, because it's already nervous enough with there being a trophy on the line. But being a trophy on the line against Manchester United is a different level of nerves. And I don't want this to be people might laugh when I say this because of the state of the two clubs, but I don't want even a slimmer of, like, a little glimmer of hope for that club winning a trophy against us. I don't want a Yaya Toure situation at Wembley, where it's like the changing of the guard. I don't want any possibility of that happening whatsoever. I can't afford for that to happen. I can't afford for United to win a trophy on our head top. It can't happen. So that was my thought process. And then I watched the game and oh my God, they are so embarrassing. They've run a 3-0 lead in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 3-0 lead to a mid-table championship club at Wembley. How is that possible? They should have lost. Like you said, they drew the offside line on VAR, over Wan-Bissaka's foot. The line actually came up off the ground and wrapped around his toes. It's a robbery. It's a disgrace.
Yeah, it is. I feel for Coventry, man. I feel for Coventry. Like, taking all the Manchester Derby stuff aside, I feel for Coventry, man. They were robbed. Absolutely robbed by VAR. VAR have shafted them. Massively. But look, we played them now. I was there for the one last summer. I mean, someone in the chat says STL, at least they can't deny a treble this time. Yeah, that's big. That's big. It's not the same pressure because the treble talk was huge last season, wasn't it? But we still have to go and beat them. I mean, if they beat us in a cup final, oh my days, mate. Oh my days. The 25th of May. So how long is that after the last game? So usually a week after the last game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the weekend after usually.
Yeah, so we'll have done our last 6 games. We could be Premier League champions by then. Could we be bollocksed out of it? You know what I mean? Could we be just knackered after our last 6 games? I don't know. There's a lot to happen between now and then, but just watching them and the way we've battered them this season twice as well, they should not be beating us in that final. Cup final is a cup final. Derby's a derby. They say form goes out the window, but there's such a gulf in quality and class between the two teams. They should not be beating us. They're an embarrassment. They're a total and utter embarrassment of a football club, Manchester United. Shameless in their celebrations, that some of their fans. Ten Hag shameless in his quotes. He needs to. If they have any ambitions, they get rid of him and bring someone else in. And not Tuchel, not Southgate, none of these. I would love it. We will be there. If they get Southgate or Tuchel, we will be there. We will be there as a community, people. But fuck me.
Southgate is the ideal scenario. Can you imagine? I get released of my fucking England manager. He's gone. Get someone else in there, and he goes to United, and that shit show becomes an even bigger shit show.
I know. But yeah, we got them again in an FA Cup final. I don't know how I feel about it. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, they will celebrate like World War ended.
See that Ten Hag quote, era's come to an end. That's coming straight back out. Klopp's leaving and he just beat Pep in a cup final. That's getting branded about all summer. You'll never, because that's the last game of both of our seasons. You will never ever hear the end of it until next season comes along. It will be eras come to an end for a solid 3 months.
I know. Oh God, I got to deal with Saeed all summer as well. If that was no, they're not beating us. They're not. We're beating them. We're definitely beating them in the FA Cup final. Right. I think we'll wrap it up there. We've talked about everything we need to talk about. Herbal, it's also a great opportunity to take the 3rd win over them. Yeah, of course. Get 3 out of 3 this season over them. Huge. Look, there's a double to be won, man. There's a league and a cup double to be won. A quadruple if you want to include the Club World Cup and the European Super Cup. So plenty still to fight for. What are the plans for this week tonight? I don't know if we have any more shows tonight because I've got Big Six at 9. It's usually at 10:30 the Big Six, but tonight's at 9. Tomorrow we're going to do a watch along for Chelsea Arsenal. Say less says B says Cole Palmer's injured for that game. We're going to be watching that. Liverpool Everton Wednesday, I believe, and then City Brighton Thursday. So Lots to do, lots to look forward to. I'm going to try to get some guests on maybe for tomorrow, for a show tomorrow, chatting about Brighton, chatting a bit about the FA Cup and so on and so forth, maybe about transfers as well. So make sure you subscribe, people. Make sure you subscribe. There's a link in the chat if anybody wants to be a channel member. Massively appreciate everybody who supports myself and Joe. And hit the like button on your way out. We'll see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Wrap her up, Joe. Bye.
Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand.